Hi, this is Career Accounting Coach coming to you today to share insider secrets on how to master the online interview through Skype or another tool that the company you're interviewing uses. Now, today I'm going to share with you the keys that you need to implement as far as preparation, what to do during the interview, and of course, the all-important close. So let me kick off by talking about preparation. Now, preparation has three distinct factors you need to be concerned about. First is your look. Of course, you need to make sure it's professional, it's the right tone for the setting. For those interviewing for accounting or finance roles, your look needs to be very conservative, a dark suit for the gentleman, not too loud of a color for shirt and tie. And also be aware of how the other person sees you in the screen. So do a bit of prep work. If you have Skype, you can go into settings and you can test your video. You can make sure that the adjustments on the screen are appropriate. You don't want to start the interview where you look really strange, where you're really close and the person is taken aback, and also you don't want to be too far where the person you're being interviewed by only sees the ceiling and top of your head. So again, these are things that you don't necessarily think about. However, if they don't go well, it could automatically discard you from being a viable candidate. Second, let's talk about the environment. Make sure you are in an area that is quiet, that has sufficient lighting. One thing to be mindful of for those of you that have glasses, and I'll grab those really quick. This is an issue that I've had, which I have not yet mastered, and I have two different glasses and neither has worked. But my glasses show a bit of a glare on them, and it, depending on how I'm viewed, is that I don't want it to be distracting to the interviewee. So in my most recent interviews, I've completely eliminated my glasses. Those of you that have supersonic hearing possibly just heard my son scream. I love him to death. Anders is 19 months. But there is risk that if you are at home and you have a family that's doing their day-to-day activities and you have a critical interview, you might want to negotiate with your caregiver, your significant other, your partner to possibly do other activities outside of that time that you're allocating for the interview. Third and final, notes. Now, notes are important. You should always have your resume readily available, as well as you should have some of the notes that you have researched on the company and the individual that's interviewing you. You have probably 2 to 3 feet of space on your computer, next to your computer, on your desk, potentially on the screen of your computer that isn't directly visible to your interviewer. Now, this is important where oftentimes you don't want to have a direct stare or glare at the individual the entire time. So oftentimes as you look away, which is normal and what you want to do, but you can look away and just brush up or revisit some of the notes that you had to make sure that you're being clear and concise in the information you want to convey to the interviewer. So that's preparation, the 3 keys: how you look, your environment, and your notes. Now let's talk about during the interview for a few moments. Now during the interview, you want to make sure that you talk slightly slower and louder than you would normally speak in an interview, in a normal conversation. That's because, again, the technology, the person on the other side, their speaker could be low. Also, depending on how far away your speaker is on your computer, has a bit of impact where, again, it's just things that you don't want to have anything negatively impact you that you can automatically eliminate yourself through things that you can control. Also, be assertive on any interview, not just online interviews. You need to jump in and take charge and take control at certain aspects and certain times in the interview. I've had the experience and the unfortunate experience of thinking I had a great interview years ago where the interviewee, the CFO I was talking to, talked and talked and talked. He spent maybe 90% of that interview talking to me, where I spent 10% sharing my background and knowledge. I did not get a call back. I later found out from the HR director that I seemed a bit of a easygoing, not a take charge individual, which was a requirement of the company. So again, you need to make sure that you tick the box, that you clearly communicate each of the critical responsibilities that the role is requiring, and you give specific examples. Another thing is being confident. In the interview, you need to think of yourself as that ideal candidate. You need to make the interviewee think that this is the perfect role for you, the perfect company, the current perfect location, and that's something that they can see you being successful in. And again, just with that whole spectrum, you must make sure that when the interviewer is asking you questions, you give clear and specific examples of the projects you worked on and the results you've achieved throughout your career. And the more relevant and recent experiences, the better. However, feel free to go back as far as is necessary to make sure that you overcome the objection that the other person has in their mind. Remember, you're selling yourself. This is a sales call. You're selling yourself that you're the ideal candidate to be hired by this company. So again, remember, during the interview, be louder than normal, be assertive, be confident, and give specific examples of your experience. And I'll wrap up this training call with what to do during the close. Now, the close may or may not be rushed depending on the time it's taken through the intro and during the process. So most online interviews today range from 45 minutes to an hour. As you're wrapping things up, be a bit mindful of where that time is to make sure you're not caught off guard when the interviewee tells you he has to run or she has to run, and it's been great, and they'll be in contact, because you're going to miss the opportunity to summarize and sell that you're the right candidate for the role. And in the close, it gives you the opportunity to go back through some of the key areas that you're going to be asked to fulfill that was mentioned during the interview, to make sure and reiterate that, one, you were listening, and two, that you can address those concerns on the interview, as if you don't, you tremendously risk not being advanced to the next round. Another key tip in an insider secret is to ask the question, do you have any final concerns about me being successful in this role? Now, that's an open-ended question that gets the interviewer off guard, and it allows them to open up a bit more to share some of the thoughts that they might have going on in their head that they're not coming right out and telling you specifically. So make sure to use that on every single interview to learn those concerns that you need to address. And last and finally, ask for next steps in the process. If you followed all the steps that I've given you today and addressed all the concerns, that question about next steps should be, we're going to bring you back for the next round, or you've done a great job and wait here while we go get the next interviewer. These are the things that you may hear, but you definitely won't if you don't ask the question. So again, don't leave it up to chance. Ask at the very end of the interview, what are the next steps? For those of you working with a recruiter, this is important, as what the company is telling your recruiter could be different from what's communicated in the interview. And this allows you the opportunity then, when you go back to your recruiter, to confirm the next steps in the process. Where if you were told there's a few more rounds of candidates that they're talking about and a decision won't be reached until the next few weeks, so you should hear back maybe in the next month or so, Yet the recruiter was told previously this is a decision that's imminent and they need someone inside immediately. Again, those are conflicting information that can confirm that you're not the candidate that they're moving forward on. So in summary, the all-important close process: 1, ask for feedback. 2, ask for any final concerns. And most importantly, ask for next steps in the process. So what's next steps in the process for you? Will you accept my challenge to implement all these critical components to your next online interview so you can be successful and gain that dream job you've always hoped for and that you've earned and you deserve? Well, if you want additional information, follow us at www.careeraccountingcoach.com, where we have monthly newsletters sharing insider secrets. Or on LinkedIn, follow us at Twitter at Career Accounting ACCT Coach. Look forward to seeing you and helping you get to the top. All the best.